Grab your pitchforks and torches. This is Sounds Obtuse Podcast. I am your host, Chris. With me always is
Dylan. What's up, guys?
How's it going out there?
How are you, Chris?
I am doing much better, I should say, actually.
I know you've been away for a minute. We had to postpone a little bit because you were in the infirmary.
We'll address the monkeys in the room, you know? Like, pod's late. Deeply sincere. You could probably, maybe, hopefully not still hear it in my voice. A little sick. But enough about me. How have you been this week?
I've been good. I had so many Friendsgivings to go to. I was just so blessed with all the friends. Who is someone who never had any friends. You know, I've just been going to Friendsgivings this entire past week and a half now.
Yeah.
Still got them going on. It's been a really fun time. We had a really fun time.
It's pretty good week for you then, huh?
It was. Sadly, you were out of commission, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's a shame too because I read the topic at hand today. By the way, we should really just stress that real quick before we continue about what's been going on.
Let's talk about what we're going to.
Because I'm really excited about this. We're going to be talking about. I said last week or so, autism. It's not Autism Awareness Month or anything, which would be a great charity, but we're just going to be talking about autism in general. Some of our thoughts on it. Some of our personal opinions. Perhaps biases, maybe
more of a learning experience for me, which I'm actually really thankful for because there's we'll get into it later, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's some reasons that I would actually love to learn about more of it, because it's just one of the places that I can point to and say, I'm a pretty well informed guy, but on this subject, I don't know a whole lot.
Yeah, it's like you know a lot about swords, but when it comes to the spectrum,
I'm a little bit lacking on the spectrum, and I can do better, and that's why I'm here. So let's do it. And you have some more knowledge than I do, so you're going to be able to. We're going to have some conversation, some banter back and forth.
And speaking of the spectrum, later on in the show, we're going to have a segment to really solidify what it means to be autistic.
That's right.
Would you like to announce it?
Yeah, it's going to be called Legends of the Spectrum.
Legends of the Spectrum.
Said with all the love meant in the world, and I mean we want to highlight some really cool people from history or
all
even
walks of life
alive still today. We just want to highlight a couple of
some people you might know even.
You very well might. You should know some of these people. Yeah.
Should I give a spoiler?
No, we shouldn't. We're gonna guard that.
Okay.
But yeah, so we got.
Stay tuned.
So we're gonna be talking about some. We're gonna be trying to elevate some people that are on the spectrum you might not know are on the spectrum, so that you can look at them in a little bit different light and say, wow, look at what they're doing. Yeah,
maybe you relate to them on more ways than one, and you come to some conclusions yourself. Maybe we'll come to some conclusions today ourselves.
Maybe we will. Well, I think we've got a fantastic show. But before we get into all of that, what do we got first, Chris?
So, a few things this week. It is Hanukkah. If you didn't know, that is the Jewish holiday.
Happy Hanukkah to you, by the way. I know.
Thank you. I do celebrate. Give gifts and all that stuff. They're not trying to be the Jewish Christmas.
It's not. I don't know why that became a thing. We think that's like a.
I know.
It's basically Christmas, but it's like kind of like diet Christmas for 12 days. Or I'm sorry, not 12 days. It's the Christmas thing. It's 8, right?
8 days, yes.
8 days. 8 days.
Right. Started Sunday the
28th,
but it ends Monday, December 6th.
Well, how was your Hanukkah, Chris?
It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. You light the candles, you read a little poem. Truth be told, I'm not a good Jew. I don't know the whole story. I'm not gonna lie, but legend has it that they only had enough oil for like one night of candle, and then it lasted 8 nights. So
miraculous.
Miraculous, yes, a miracle.
Mm-hmm, certainly.
So that's what we do for Hanukkah. We say a prayer, be thankful, maybe give some gifts. Traditional.
You got a really cool drum.
Yeah.
I've been banging on your very cool drum. Super cool gift. Got a singing bowl that I saw.
Yeah,
very neat stuff happening over here. Just a super cool family.
And got
obviously,
some cloves, little wooden sticks. You just bang them together.
Man, you got all kinds of instruments.
Yeah,
man.
Fun stuff. It's really great. And like I said, it's not the Jewish Christmas. They're not trying to compete. But there's this article that would have been a lot more relevant last week. When I had hey, these are some gift ideas. But I'd still like to read it. That's cool.
Please.
Just kind of make up for lost time.
Share it with us.
So I'm not going to go through all 8 days because I'm not going to just full up read the article. But here are some good things. This is from CBS News. So usually like on each day, you give, you don't have to give certain things. You know, it could be, you can wild card it. You know, it's not like a set way. But there's certain things that's like, say like day 2, you might have books, right? So here it says for books, it says choose a few books for each child based on the reading level and interest. Not only does reading serve as a great way to improve their vocabulary, it also provides hours of entertainment. Local libraries make a great go-to for purchasing books cheaply, as many small bookstores will donate books to find new homes.
That sounds lovely.
It is, and like I said, some people get books. Some people will go a little more extravagant, like, you know, my family members, and give me a steel drum, which is equally as cool.
Just a beautiful little steel drum. It's incredible. It's great just to bang on.
I didn't get these, but I did give these as a gift. Day 5 pajamas. Again, really nice things. It's not Christmas, but you don't have to go all out. So this one says, your children could probably use new pajamas, so turn this practical item into a fun gift by choosing a silly pair or one dining the favorite characters. Look for high quality, low price pajamas at discount retailers.
I think that laugh might be offensive. I hope it's not, but it seems a little tongue-in-cheek there, author of that article.
You think so?
It's a little tongue-in-cheek, I think.
I think so. Well, day 4, gift for the family. You know, teach your children the joy of sharing by purchasing a gift for the entire family. You make the surprise as inexpensive or as extravagant as you want, but keep the focus on spending family time together. For example, a few budget-friendly ideas include letting your kids choose a movie to see together or treating them to a pizza dinner. Check sites like Groupon and Living Social for discounts on restaurants, local activities, and getaway deals. So, you know, you got a year to think about it at this point, but, you know, when you're purchasing gifts, they don't have to be, you know, a steel drum or a book. They could be a pair of socks, whatever you want.
Nice and low budget.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it under budget.
So
whatever you do.
And this is from CBS News. It came out in 2014, but the information's invaluable forever. So yeah, shout out Hanukkah.
That was.
I hope you guys had a good Hanukkah.
In all seriousness, I actually love the structure of Hanukkah.
It's great
because I hate the frivolousness, the frivolity of Christmas.
One of my favorite words, frivolous.
Thank you.
That's from Lori Woods, by the way.
I can't. Lori Woods, shout out to you.
Laura Woods, excuse me.
Laura Woods, she really loves a bargain. Sorry. She kept bringing it up. Anyway, I love the structure of Hanukkah because I hate having to figure out how much someone might be spending on me, trying to match that. Because even if you get like a good gift, you know somebody wants, but they bought something that's like more expensive, it's still like that. Like god damn it, you know.
Hanukkah is a little different for me, but when it comes to Christmas gifts, I'm sure we'll get to maybe some point.
So do you celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah?
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, dude. You may as
that
well,
sounds
right?
like cheating.
Does it?
It does. It sounds a lot like cheating.
I kind of do it for the sake of it. Like I said, I've never said a Jewish, like, or I won't say Jewish, but what is the word, Hebrew? Like, I've never read a script of Hebrew in my life.
You haven't?
No.
Really? I have.
See, you might be more Jewish than me. You damn sure look it, and we'd surely accept you.
I'll let you say that.
Okay.
I'll let you say that.
I'll say this. I'm Jewish. I'm not gonna get into it. Whatever.
He just wants to let you all know. Was that your article?
Yeah, like I said, would have been a lot more useful earlier when I was, you know,
in the midst of it instead of on the tail end.
Yeah, but you know,
that's okay. No, I honestly liked the article. I thought it was fun. With some funny bits, whether they were intended or not, I'm not totally sure. Seems a little tongue in cheek. I do have some news, and I'm honestly, I wasn't expecting your thing to be so cute. I was like, that was like uplifting, and I'm laughing, and I'm very joyful, and I'm glad you got to go through. Honestly, I'm really jealous, is what I am. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I had Hanukkah. That sounds great. That sounds like super low key. Just like get everyone a little, you know, a couple little things that you think that they want. Like that sounds great to me. Instead of having to do all this like calculus to figure out what kind of gift you need to get people and this and that. I'm just terrible at gift giving. But anyway, sadly, my story is not so sweet. I gotta talk about some danger in the world, folks. There's some crazy happenings. Have you seen anything happening over in the Russia-Ukraine border, Christian? Are you familiar with this?
Horrible stuff. I can't believe those guys are doing that.
I feel like you don't actually know what's happening.
I know, but you should definitely tell the people at home.
Should I tell them?
You should.
You don't want to do it?
Nah, I think this is more your thing, man.
Okay, I'll do it.
You would far outshine me in
I
any
was
discussion.
curious what you knew.
I'll stick to Jewish holidays.
Perfect. So there is the U.S. has said, like, our intelligence and whatnot has said that there is over 100,000 troops mobilizing on the Russian-Ukrainian border, and even more mobilizing inside of Russia's ally, puppet, whichever one you want to call them, Belarus. And they're going to possibly be doing the same thing, kind of posturing to invade Ukraine. We saw back in 2014, and this is still ongoing. A lot of people don't understand this is an active war. Russia and Ukraine are fighting an active war. 2014.
2014. It's 7 years.
Yeah, 2014, which is insane. Like, anyway, I mean, like during the freaking Olympics, it started. Anyway, so, but that's been like a sort of a stalemated sort of war, limited ground troops. You know, we're talking very small scale, at least as far as Russia's concerned. But the idea of Russia actually committing like real, like divisions of troops is kind of scary. We're seeing, like, there's videos all over the internet. You can go look them up of Russia sending in tanks and armor and artillery over rail, like at dead of night. There'll just be trains just full of tanks headed to the Ukrainian border.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it's the U.S. military says that we could be looking at a possible operation as early as next year. So we're talking like possibly late January, early February if they were to be like ready for it. And that's a worrying situation because so Ukraine's not a NATO member. That's important. They're not a NATO member. They are one of, I think, like the second strongest military in Europe outside of Russia. So like Russia's obviously really strong, Germany's really strong. But Ukraine's military, especially because they've been fighting Russia for 7 years, is actually quite built up. And the idea that a large Russian force and a emboldened and desperate almost Ukrainian force could be clashing at real like army group levels. Scary thought because while Ukraine is not a NATO member, they are very friendly with NATO. NATO has a lot of troops inside Ukraine. The U.S. has troops inside Ukraine. Or, I'm sorry, not troops. We have people, you know, like we conduct training exercises, things like that. The kind of stuff that never in the history of ever has ever led us into war.
Yeah, it's just like,
it's never once led us into war.
We're here, just so you know.
We're here, but obviously we're never going to get dragged into this conflict, not once. It's never happened. So that's kind of worrying. And I mean, even aside from that, just from a geopolitical point or just a human point, like, I mean, like what do we do if Russia invades Ukraine? Do we think that's right or fair? I don't think we do. I don't think we think that's fair. I don't think we think that's okay. Do we go to war for it? Like, I don't know.
It's a tough decision to make.
They are. That's very tough decisions. It's a little scary. But I just wanted to bring attention to that. I know that's all over the news and stuff. Everyone's probably seeing that. I'm probably not providing much new information. But if your only source of news is this, I hope you find another source of news. But I hope you're also aware of that. I think that's something we should talk about.
Nice little
have a little conversation about it. It's not nice. It's terrible. But
well, I was gonna say.
I wish I would have went before you.
Well, yeah. Maybe I could chop those up, flip those around in editing. We'll see. We'll see, because I was going to say the same thing, but I have something that can at least, even if we cut it, because it might be a bad segue, but again, if I rearrange it, it might not sound so bad. One more thing I wanted to say before we continue was I was watching just something that happened my week, and I want to get your opinion on it. Family Feud, right?
Okay.
They had, the family, the Smith family, they have the Joseph family, the Marks family, whatever. Mm-hmm. This is the family name. I'm gonna show it to you. I wrote it down in pretty clear capital letters. Okay. And I want you to read it.
Let me put my glasses on so I can see that properly.
Okay. I'm gonna make it real nice.
have not seen it yet. Family name was Hoddard.
You are correct. It's not what I read.
This reminds me of the Randy Marsh on Wheel of Fortune episode in a similar vein. Not the same vein, but sort of a misunderstanding kind of vein.
How do you see that and not go? I'll spell it out for you so people at home can make your own assumptions.
Make your own assumptions.
Hotard. Hotard, right?
It's Hoddard.
Yeah, I know that now. But I'm seeing it. I'm like, Steve, you can't say that on TV. Like,
he said Hotard?
No, he said Hoddard.
Oh, he said Hoddard. Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, oh my
sure
god.
I'm sure he asked.
I'm thinking they're gonna cancel Steve Harvey if he says these guys' last name.
Canceled.
Doesn't it sound like a extremely derogatory term?
A little bit.
Towards.
It sounds like it could be, but thankfully it's not.
Like a.
Don't give him any ideas, Christian.
It's too good not to though. Like man, she's a hotard.
Nope, absolutely not. Congratulations, that just got cut from the episode.
All right, well, I was gonna segue that into.
Are we?
Autism. Because it's someone's last name. It's a honest mispronunciation.
I mean, honestly, jokes aside.
Because I did want to talk about the R word. I feel like that's the first thing we should address.
Jokes aside, it does come into play with some of the questions that I have for going into this.
Yes.
So I
mean, I said, I was like, I don't know, we should mention it. But to harken back.
You're the one that said it, so I'm going to let you ask yourself inside.
To the intro?
If you're punching up or punching down. That's all I need to know.
I think I'm punching a straight line across.
I don't know if that's good or bad then. Some kind of weird amalgamous maybe.
Maybe. I'll say this. If this is what does is in, I will take full credibility for it.
All right. Sounds good.
Is that
My
fine?
My conscience is clear.
So then it'll be Sounds Obtuse Podcast with Redacted and Dylan.
Yes. That'll be it. Canceled and Dylan.
Yes. Yep.
So we are going to talk about autism because I think there is some stuff that needs to be said. I've definitely got a lot of learning to do. I've enjoyed doing some learning over the past couple of weeks, researching about this. I'm not saying that you need to have a podcast to maybe, research a little bit about what autism is, but certainly not something you have to go out and research it. But I'm super happy to have this opportunity. Chris knows a little bit more than I do. And it's gonna just be some good conversation. Things. I feel like we can just have some honest conversation here.
That's what I mean. Like
we are in a space where we're trying to learn.
Exactly.
So we can have some honest conversation.
We really are. So when I think of, or I think most people think of, let me make that clear. What I think most people think of, be they mostly uninformed, perhaps, think of when they hear someone that is autistic.
That's 3 caveats for y'all keeping track back at home.
Thank you for keeping track.
Yes.
I lost me. So when I think people, they might say autism, they might use that derogatory word, the R word, the one that was alluded to, and it's unfortunate because that's not always the case. It is a spectrum.
It is. So
what do you, Dylan, know about autism?
So, okay. Very, very little, as I've already said. I understand the idea of the spectrum and that it's not you're either autistic or you're not. It's that you're on a spectrum. And I personally believe that the fact that a spectrum exists means that there's people who are very mildly autistic or might not even know it, things like that. So I get
into like a further explanation of the spectrum as well.
mean, you did ask, so that's my basic knowledge base.
Okay.
But I can tell you the one interaction I have with an autistic person.
Can I ask you before you get into that, is that your initial thought when you hear like oh, that person's autistic, knowing nothing else about them?
My initial thought when I hear someone is autistic is usually one of, and this is wrong, and I'm aware of this, it's that this person needs to be dealt with differently.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be very careful.
Okay.
Sort of maybe not like speak loud or be erratic, even though I don't know that that actually means anything, but I think someone told me that one time. But I'm like, they're also not like a bull.
Generalizing.
Right? They're not a bull. You know, they're not like a wild animal. But I can understand that they are.
I mean, you can say that about, and I'll get into this later too, to anybody.
Yes. I think you're absolutely right. My biggest interaction with an autistic person is I work at Food Lion. I wear that proudly. I am actually a happy member of the Food Lion crew. And one of the reasons that I'm a happy member of the Food Lion crew is that despite all of the awful pieces of shit that I have to serve day in and day out, fried chicken, there's some real winners out there.
The NPCs for you guys.
Yes, NPCs for those of you back home. There are some real winners out there, though. There are those customers that come in and you're just like, you've had like 3-4 shitty fucking customers in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this person and you're like, oh, they're going to be fucking awesome. And they're just the sweetest people.
That's who I try to be.
So there is this super dope woman who comes in, she's middle-aged, but she's got purple hair, always just like got the bright purple hair, which I love. You've probably met these people too. Christian also works at Food Lion.
I'm sure I know them.
So this young lady comes in with purple hair. She's just dope. And she sometimes, occasionally, has her son with her. And her son, boy, does he love some hot wings. Let me tell you, this dude can put away some hot wings and some potato wedges. I think it's his favorite meal, and he eats it pretty often. And that's okay.
From life, huh?
That's okay, because I'm happy to serve him. Because these people come in, they are the nicest people. But sometimes, the boy doesn't show up. And that's sad, because I like him. He's a younger lad. Let's say around 12, 14 age range.
Okay.
I don't really know.
Plays Fortnite.
I don't really know him. I just know he comes into my store, and I talk to him occasionally. But sometimes he doesn't come in, so I'll ask where he's at. And I'm sorry for the story being a little long-winded. But I'll sort of ask the cool mom, where's your son at? Where's the little dude at? And she goes, oh, well, he's feeling a little shy today. He doesn't want to come in. And she told me eventually that he has autism. I believe Asperger's, to be specific. And my first thought is, well, I need to handle this person more gently, even though obviously just a young guy coming into my store to get chicken, I'm not handling him roughly in like any way. But my first thought is like, oh, okay, well, we got to be very careful around this gentleman whenever he comes in. Those are the first thoughts that sink into my head. But all that aside, whenever he comes in, I'm super happy to see him. He's the nicest kid in the world, and I get a special dose of happiness because she says that he likes to come in when he knows that I'm there. So she'll come in sometimes and place his order, but she'll text him and tell him that I'm actually there, and he'll come in just to say hi. And let me tell you, if you don't think after like numerous customers breaking you down, to hear that a young gentleman who is shy and, dare I say, socially awkward, as someone who is also socially
potentially autistic.
Well, she says he is autistic.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm going to believe the mom. She says that her son is autistic. So, if this young autistic gentleman faces his fears and problems with dealing with the public, because that's what she says freaks him out, just to come in and say hi to me and give me a fist bump, by God, little dude, I'm going to cook you all the chicken you want. I don't care if Food Lion hears this. I'm always giving that little dude extra stuff. Like, just packing those bags full.
Give me back.
That makes me feel good. I'm honestly tearing up a little bit just even thinking about it. Like, that makes you feel good. Because they always come in when I'm having the worst freaking days. And I see them come in, and I'll be busy as could possibly be, but I'll see him come in and know that my day's going to get a little bit busier because now I got to go out of my way to drop him some fresh chicken, drop him some fresh tenders. I don't care. I don't mind in the least. One of my favorite customers. So, when you said autism,
I'm jealous.
So when you said, to wrap up this long-winded story, when you said we were going to start talking about autism on this pod, that is the immediate thought I had, was that young gentleman. And if I can understand his situation a little bit better at the end of this pod, I think I accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm here for. And that is honestly the extent of my experience with autism. From here on out, Christian, you're taking my hand.
I think
and you're guiding me through.
We know a few other customers as well.
I mean, I'm sure we know other people, but just like specifically like when comes to mind.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
So, like I said, some people might think of the worst possible thing, just someone who is, I hate to even describe it, but like, just a very low intelligence to the point that they perhaps can't even help themselves. Some might see...
may I say, I probably should have said this. That certainly is not my interpretation of autism. Yeah. Whenever I hear autism, even though I have this idea that I need to sort of guard how I speak, probably change the way I speak to this person, even though I'm having those conscious thoughts, I don't for a moment think they're unintelligent. I certainly understand that autistic people on the autism spectrum are
it's hard to think of the words, right?
Prone to be, let's say, hyper intelligent in certain regards.
Of course.
So I actually do associate people that are autistic or on the autism spectrum as being smart. That's actually that's actually one of my first thoughts, is this person is probably intelligent, even though socially I feel as if I need to handle them differently, which again I will admit is probably wrong.
Who's to say, really?
I mean, who's to say? We'll get into it.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll get into it. We'll get into
this talk.
That's gonna be towards a little bit later. I don't want to just take up the whole piece of this. You've got stuff to say. I want to hear what you have to say, Chris. Please take me on this. Give me some of your knowledge. Tell me some of the places you think I might be wrong in my initial thoughts.
It does go on a spectrum. There's several different kinds. You have like just like I said, it's really hard to describe. But like there are some people on the spectrum who just simply like have a extremely hard time living, functioning, we will say, on their own. And it's like I say this not to sound derogatory. I have to really stress that, but to paint a picture, like including but not limited to like drooling, just unable to do basic functions, speak anything, other than moans and various noises, and it's extremely unfortunate. But also on that same spectrum, you do have those potential geniuses, even savants. So I think, like I said, the overall, I can only gauge really the overall impression of someone's autistic greatly varies, right? Like I said,
that's the point of a spectrum.
Yeah. But it sounds so wild to consider, to me at least, or at least like it's to say like these are like part of the same thing. You know what I mean? Someone who is, like I said, unable to speak and is literally drooling on themselves and can't do anything. Who's still indeed a person, believe it or not.
Certainly a person.
Right? Versus like someone like we'll get into him later, but I'll throw one guy out. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, like Elon Musk is on the spectrum as well.
Pretty sure, yeah, like the Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is diagnosed, I believe.
Like Asperger's.
Yep.
We'll be talking about a few of those later as well.
Yeah.
Vast difference.
Yeah.
We're talking about like very successful, intelligent. Rain Man, how about that guy?
Let me ask you right there. Do you think? I don't know how to phrase this.
It's tough, man. It is tough. Like you gotta be really tactful.
Do you think just the way we talk about it is almost oversimplified? Do you think that like the idea of autism in general and the way that we speak about it is oversimplified? Do we codify it in such a way that it's like, oh yeah, they're autistic? But that word can mean so many different things. It's such a loaded word.
You raise a very good point, Dylan. That's a point I kind of want to make as well. It means so many different things. That's a vast spectrum.
It's sort of like saying that, like, I mean, this is in no way the same thing. I'm not comparing them, but I study a lot of like geography and stuff. It's like saying someone's European. It's like, well,
pretty much, right?
It's okay. I get what you're saying. I mean, that's a
the nail
very
on the head.
broad definition. There's so
nail on
many
the
other
head.
things you could say about this person.
That is a great, fantastic analogy. I absolutely love it. Like you said, it's to put it in the most crass of terms. It's like what is autism? What is the spectrum? It's
Anything.
May as well be, huh?
Yeah, like-
May as well be. So yeah, it's like the dumbest person to the smartest person. Like they're both autistic. Everyone's autistic.
Right. It really
Do
is.
you know the statistic?
I don't.
The actual statistic?
Please lay it on me, brother.
Let me ask you, what do you think the statistic is?
For the number of people that are autistic.
Yes. U.S. autism numbers.
Okay. The percentage of people in the U.S. with
We'll say
autism.
at least this article says children diagnosed with autism. I'll say that. New data suggests.
Children diagnosed
Like currently.
autism. Okay.
Yes, this came out this month, in fact, a couple days ago, less than a week.
So children diagnosed with autism in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 11%.
Not that much, surprisingly, but I still think pretty interesting. 1 in 44.
Really?
Yeah. 1 in 44.
I honestly thought it would have been more.
So it's more than 2 autistics on the spectrum for every 100 person.
I mean, so that is again.
It's 2 people in an arm.
I think I have said this on the pod before. It's one of those numbers that is that's more than I would have thought, but somehow less too.
Yeah.
Like if you would have said a higher number, I would have been like, I could see that. If you would have said a lower number, I would have said oh, that's too little. I don't know. It's just such a weird place.
It really is.
Wow, 2 out of every 100.
More or less.
More or less.
It's like 2.3.
Yeah. The math isn't perfect there. I get it.
Like you said, there's a lot of things covered in that spectrum. So kind of like you said, was that just kind of everybody? It might be. And that could lead to a lot of misdiagnosis, perhaps. Let me read you some symptoms and see how.
Oh no! This is gonna be like a WebMD, where I just walk around for the next 2 weeks telling people I'm probably autistic.
We'll see. You don't have to.
I'm obviously not gonna be doing that.
You can plead the fifth, but I'm gonna just throw some things out, right?
Well, fun.
So, people on the autism spectrum, if you're diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, you might partake in some of these activities,
okay,
including but not limited to things such as eye contact, avoiding eye contact.
Okay.
Right? Have you avoided eye contact, Dylan?
I mean, not even once. I always look everyone directly in the eyes, no matter how awkward the situation. Of course I do.
Yeah, I don't blink, so
I've never once blinked.
Definitely not.
I've never once looked away from a cashier's gaze because they were looking at me too intently. I've never.
So
once.
social interactions, they tend to divert their eyes, not look at the subject, that sort of thing. Have different facial expressions or body postures. Again, included but not limited to, you're talking about the whole spectrum. So I've known some people on that spectrum who would literally have involuntary hand motions, jerking, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Tourette's is on. Tourette's people on the spectrum.
I was going to say, is Tourette's connected? Is it along the same lines?
I believe so. I'm almost certain
symptoms
it is.
Similar or something?
I didn't specifically look up Tourette's in this, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
Adjacent.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's at the least adjacent.
Yeah, if not on the spectrum.
I
think they could be combined as well. Because
doesn't that fall into the simplification?
Well, here's the thing. I was going to say one of the things on this list, it's actually as far as behavior goes, but one of the things is parroting. They'll repeat certain phrases.
Oh God.
Yeah, rocking back and forth. Have you ever done any of that?
I think we should move to the next segment. I don't really like this. I don't like this at all.
Well, let me just read a few more things that people on the spectrum do. Because I think some of them, maybe not, parroting, rocking, flapping, like I was just saying, they'll do crazy motions to the point they have to be separated from most people, especially in areas like schools. And but then you have some people on the other side who, like I said, just might not make eye contact with you. They also have, might not understand feelings fully. But again, these are such vast things because
like
misunderstanding someone's feelings is such a broad term that can mean so subjective. You know,
I'm obviously being a little playful with saying that I identify with a lot of these, but I'm also not being playful. I do, like every single thing that Chris has said, I personally identify with. Do I think I'm autistic? I don't, even though I don't really have a large grasp, but I've also, I don't believe that's a part of my life, and it just brings up the question. It's like, what defines this?
Exactly.
What the fuck defines it? Like, the more you talk about it, the more it sounds like all my friends are autistic.
You once said to me, I feel like you're playing fast and loose with the English language. And
I mean, that's what I feel. Okay, you know what? Yeah, that's a great thing to say. I think that's exactly what the word all autism
kind of comes to me. And like you just said, is it simplified? Is it too complicated? Like,
some weird amalgamation of both.
It is. It's like, how is this and this and any way connected? You know what I mean?
I feel like whenever people who don't struggle with certain things try to identify with those things, they typically tend to just cram it into a box that they can appreciate.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Straight up. You took the words.
Man,
something along those lines.
It's almost like we should have been co-hosts.
I know. It works out pretty great that way sometimes. Like I said, by defining it with whatever that means, it's like, do you identify as it? Not in the way that like some people identify as other things, or maybe I do, but I mean like, does it fit you? Do you think you need to address it perhaps? Because, when you say diagnosis, is that necessarily a bad thing? I think that's the question I want to ask, because like we kind of came to the conclusion before I can even finish some of my things. Like, so just some of the other things on the list were like, I don't know about you. Do you like certain types of clothing on you? Like I personally like fur cotton. Like, fuck polyester. Get that shit off me.
So listen to me. My girlfriend, I hope she never hears this. She makes fun of me because I was in Kohl's one day a long time ago.
Gotta spend that Kohl's cash.
And I found these polos. So they're like golf polos, but like super like air, like they're super breathable, all that stuff. Wick away moisture, that nice material. They're relatively affordable, and they come in every fucking color. So what do you do? Well, over the course of from like 4 years ago to now, I've bought one of every color. So I've got like 20 polos that are literally the exact same polo.
Brother, when you find the one, you go with it.
You go with it, man. So like whenever we're getting dressed, she used to ask me whenever we first got together, "What are you wearing tonight?" She no longer asks me that if we're going out somewhere. She says, "What color are you wearing tonight?"
Do you guys match?
She has to match.
Yeah, I've seen you walking with purple shirts before.
She has to match.
I have the same feeling with shirts. Like, I guess I mentioned polyester. I don't do it. I hate it. It feels the worst. Like, the shirts feel just too thick, too sweaty, too hot. Like a nice thin cotton. You see the shirts I wear? The shirt I'm wearing right now. It's beat up. Not gonna lie.
They come in packs of 6 at Walmart.
Yeah, a good one though. Yeah, it has to be worn in. This is
when you first get them, they suck.
As thick as I want to go. The new ones, man. I'll digress. But anyway, things like clothes can be an issue. Even sounds, different textures, feels can be, if you're like peculiar, whether it be extremely inquisitive, maybe you like playing with like fidget toys and stuff like that. Maybe you fidget, Have you done any of those? For me, I'll tell you what, as a musician, there's times I'm like beating and drumming and stuff. Is that me just being a musician, or am I on the spectrum?
I'm a compulsive eater. So whenever I have like idle hands, right? Like I'm just not occupied with my hands. I got to do something with them. I'll either eat or I find something else. The big trick I found was sunflower seeds. I can like if I'm just like watching TV, I have to have either sunflower seeds, a vape, or something to eat.
Sunflower seeds, vape, something. Okay.
Like I have to have something to occupy myself with, to keep myself. Even at like work, I have to have something on my headset. I wear my headset while I'm working, so I can listen to like lectures and shit. I have to have something happening in the background so that I feel like I can actually focus. Because if I don't have something to occupy myself,
sounds very on the spectrum.
Stop it.
per sources, it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, that is one of those things. Like I said, they have peculiars to like routines. I'll tell you one that should have been a potential indicator for me. Not that I don't know. It's for me or you or nobody to decide. But when I was a child, I got a Teletubbies sticker book. Do you remember Teletubbies?
I do.
I fuck with Teletubbies. Not gonna lie.
Still?
I mean, like, I'll shout them out. Shout out Teletubbies.
How was the last season?
I don't fucking know. I was like 5, bro. But it was cool. They got the toys at BK. Actually, I'll tell you a story about an autistic person. We're talking about Teletubbies. So 2 parts about Teletubbies. 3 things. So when it comes to kids shows, a lot of autistic people, and I have experience with this, multiple facets, love Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't know what it is. I wish I had more about it. If anybody knows, I would love to hear what your autistic, if you have an autistic relative, friend, whatever, why they love Thomas the Tank Engine so much. But my show was Teletubbies, and for Christmas I got a Teletubbies sticker book. One of the things that autistic children will do is, like, you might have seen the episode of Scrubs where, like, he's playing with Legos and it's just, like, way too advanced. And they're, like, 2 or 3, like, yeah, why are you building all this crazy stuff with these Legos? Like, a 10-year-old couldn't do that. Like, ooh, he might be autistic, Mm-hmm. So what they'll do is, like, they'll organize things very compartmentally, And for me, when I look back on it, I got my sticker book, and I put every sticker, like... It had like 16 pages. I used like the first 4, just loading it up and just filling each page like fucking perfectly. Sounds pretty on the spectrum, does it not? It does sound
a little on the spectrum.
But again, it's like, what does that even mean at this point? What does that even mean? So because one of those things that we kind of keep bringing up is like, what does that even mean anymore, right? Mm-hmm. Clip I showed you before this kind of talked about like eventually that kind of like flow chart of what you consider on the spectrum becomes so vast. It's like a new whole thing, like a totally different group of people, essentially, and maybe even the new normal, perhaps.
I mean,
with enough, right?
I mean, if you get to the point where so many people are on the spectrum,
yeah. What then?
That you have a plurality. I mean, then
is it even a thing?
You're not. You're no longer the group that's different.
Yeah. So then, what do we do? Start like putting medicine on the other guys? Like,
yeah, y'all need to become autistic.
Yeah, you're not autistic enough. Like, take these pills. I'm not saying there's like pharmaceutical scams or anything when it pertains to autism.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. We're just saying like look at the road ahead.
Yeah. And what that really means to be autistic.
It's gonna what does it mean? It's such an interesting place
to
be. I wish we had a guest.
I know.
I think that'll
Well, I think we can say a lot more about this at a later time.
Yeah, I think I would. I want
to just kind of go over, brush the cornfield a little bit.
I would love to find someone who is on the spectrum. We can bring on the pod and we can have an open conversation with them.
Yes.
I think that would be great to bring them into the conversation. Sadly, we can't do that. I mean, we want to talk about people who struggle with different things. I want to talk about people who deal with different things, people from different countries, stuff like that. You can't always get a guest to help you.
I feel like this was the first thing to start with. Yeah. It's a nice
you can't always get a guest to help you represent that group of people. Sometimes you just got to go on what you know. And sometimes part of that is just being honest about what you don't know, which is what I think we've been very, very open and honest about.
And honestly, for a show that is called Sounds Obtuse, I just want to learn.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was looking for this. And I think we did. I think we did learn that. Was there anything else that you wanted to specifically add to this conversation?
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm more than happy to make this a part 1.
Oh, for sure.
And find down the road someone else.
Yeah.
I would love to continue this conversation.
Most
because
definitely.
At the end of the day, it's like we can't really, we're not. I mean, we can't even say if we're not autistic or not. I don't even know what the fuck's real anymore. What's autistic and what isn't? And I don't mean that in any sort of disparaging way, but it's like
exactly
the symptoms that you're going over, the list of things that make someone
the surface,
the list of things that make someone quote unquote autistic or on the spectrum is just so vast.
Yeah, it could be like, you got ADHD or anxiety. Maybe you got depression. You might be autistic.
What the fuck?
If you're a savant or if you, got sleep problems, you might be autistic. It's like, yeah, bro, that's kind of like everybody.
You're really starting to just, if you have skin, you might be autistic.
Yeah.
Like,
if I'm not mistaken, I did like a Jeff Foxworthy. You might be autistic if.
I mean, you could do a whole bit of jokes like that.
Yeah. And again,
that
it's
is just
not like
crazy.
we're not trying to be mean. We're trying to understand what that means to be autistic.
We speak very cavalierly on this show about a lot of things. I think this is one of the ones that you and I both realized. Like, there was a couple of side looks while we were talking about doing this, and it's like, God, we have got to be careful. Yeah. Not that. And again, we're the sympathetic sort. Like, we want to learn and want to care. We're not trying to make fun of anybody, but it's just you have to be careful about what you say, especially once you say it on a platform.
So what I was gonna say was, as I'm kind of recording these, I'm like, there's parts that like I know like I'm gonna say it down, like I'm gonna cut this out. You know, I might be like looking through my notes or whatever. But I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, some of the things where like I might say like, you know, I'd cut that out. But I think for this topic, because we want to show how we really feel about it. Like when I was saying to you, I was like, it's a tough thing to ask. Like, I genuinely mean that.
Yeah, I'm not even. Yeah, I already know where you're
headed. Like, I want to keep that in the recording.
I already know where you're headed, and I think, to
show that we are struggling with this.
This is like we're honestly having conversation. We are wanting to learn more. I would love to understand it better because I personally, while I immediately hear someone is autistic, and I think that I need to, in some sort of a way, coddle them, if that makes sense. I know that's not accurate.
Exactly. And that is exactly what I wanted you to say.
And it's like, I know that's not accurate.
You really put that little bow
but yet
on it.
I still feel that way. And so how do we come to terms with that? What is the proper way? Do we need to treat them any differently other than respect how people wish to be treated? Which is how you treat everybody. If somebody doesn't want to look you in the eyes, maybe don't call them out on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. It's a made-up thing in our society.
You know what? Like, I think the golden rule: treat others the way you'd like to be treated.
That's right.
You know, if you don't like to be treated like an asshole, well, follow rule 1.
Like if you I have trans friends. Not that they share the same plight, but you know, just as a brief analogy, you know, I have trans friends and
that's another difficult discussion.
Yes,
I would love to have.
And trying to put them into a box of, well, these people are just trans or gender dysmorphic. Like,
maybe that's a spectrum too.
It probably is, and it's like, so like trying to like treat people with like one way to treat them, while they're being so vastly different within the same umbrella. It's just such a ridiculous way, because at the end of the day, you're just like, well, hang on, this is my friend, and I know how I need to talk to my friend because they're my friend, and I know how they deal with shit. So it's like, you know, like, I mean, the same thing with you, like I know,
you're socially awkward one time, like, they must be autistic.
I know how to talk.
Not always the case.
I know how to talk to you, and we have, you know, like, I can understand you in certain ways because I get you, because we're friends. And it's sort of like you treat everyone that way, and suddenly like words like, do we need to coddle autistic people? No, we definitely don't. I'll probably say that.
Anyone else, really.
Maybe just treat them like everyone else. And then it comes full circle, and it's like even like humor and stuff is an interesting conversation there, because it's like
I said,
I mean,
so many deep dives I want to like really get into.
There's so many things we could be.
I set the stage here, trust me.
And like, I don't mean like, obviously you don't make fun of anybody. You especially don't make fun of people who are on spectrums, stuff like that. You don't make fun of anybody.
It's not cool.
But I think that humor can be used in a purpose that is helpful.
Most definitely.
It can certainly be used in a way that is helpful. And there's a serious conversation to be had about how do you deal with humor towards people that are autistic from people that are autistic,
and any group of people at this point. This climate,
I mean,
again, another
like
conversation.
The conversation that we're having about this could be applied to any group of people.
Oh yes,
and then and that just raises the question: what the fuck does it even mean in the end? Turns out everybody's just really different, and everyone has their own little stuff, and everyone fits into their own little archetypes, and everyone checks different boxes. And you got to treat people differently. If you go through life trying to put people into boxes to treat them the same way as other people in those boxes, you're going to end up with a lot of unhappy people.
You know, I'm going to mention this as a future topic, but one of the things that I kind of like set one of my staples in my life, like almost a four corner, is I try not to make assumptions. Try not to.
See, I'm absolutely the opposite.
Really?
This is a philosophical discussion. I don't want to get into it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. We obviously can't. But since you
I'm gonna say later
you stated your opinion, let me state mine. I personally believe that you can make assumptions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So long as you're willing to change them later. We will judge people. Mm-hmm. So I disagree with the idea that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. You're going to.
Oh yeah.
You're going to, whether you've been told that your entire life or not. You're going to judge this person based on how they act around you the first time you meet them.
But what I'm saying is, like, by actively working on it, I think that it's possibly the best route to go to.
Yes.
You know?
Make your assumptions, but don't be so set in them that you think that people can never change, and that the person that you met 5 years ago is the same person that you're friends with 5 years later. That's just not the case. So we've had a very good conversation on this, I think. You brought some stuff to my attention I did not know. Mm-hmm. I very much appreciate that. I really want to continue this conversation with someone who is actually on the spectrum, can speak definitively on it
I would love
for
that.
themselves, can speak definitively for themselves.
Love
I would love to have that conversation. I think we got to plan that out.
Oh yeah.
But now I think we do have time for you and I both have a person we would like to highlight as a legend of the spectrum.
And these are people who are autistic. They're on the autistic spectrum.
Yes.
And
or if we can't definitively say they are,
I'm pretty sure these ones are
biographers and people like I'm talking about like historical figures from the past.
Yeah.
If any of those come up, like you will come across those. Like I mean, I encourage everyone to do what we did for this, which is to Google people that are autistic.
Yeah.
There are so many people that you would not imagine, you would not think of, and it's just a very eye-opening thing to
like,
see.
Whoa. You know?
So I mean, it's definitely neat. Definitely check it out.
So
we have a couple of them that we want to talk about.
We do have a couple of them. One person I really wanted to highlight that you may not know, and for some of these things, it may make a lot of sense. That like, oh my god! After everything you've mentioned, this makes a lot of sense for that person. Dylan,
yes,
are you familiar with Tim Burton?
I am quite familiar with Tim Burton.
Mind if I ask your personal opinion of Tim Burton?
If you want to ask my personal opinion of Tim Burton again on the pod, you're welcome to.
Do we do it on the pod already?
I believe so. Maybe it was on the Patreon pods.
Was it? It was on the Patreon pods.
Maybe it was on the Patreon pods. Either way, I very much respect Tim Burton and his work as a student of film. Mm-hmm. I, however, am not a personal fan of his work. Okay. I do not seek out Tim Burton movies to watch. They're not movies that I actually enjoy watching. I don't like his style, but I appreciate him as a groundbreaking cinematographer, director, all of this.
And legend of the spectrum.
And legend of the spectrum, certainly.
So Tim Burton, if you didn't know, he was a, as you said, groundbreaking director of the medium. He did films such as Beetlejuice, the 1980s Batman, featuring Michael Keaton, which is a phenomenal film if you guys haven't seen that. Movies like Sleepy Hollow, Ed Wood, Mars Attacks. Got any you want to throw in there?
Hang on, wait. He did Mars Attacks?
Yeah, dude.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Mars Attacks.
So then I can officially reinstate what I said. I used to say I don't like a single Tim Burton movie. I can change that now. I did not know that. Mars Attacks is a Tim Burton movie. I like Mars Attacks.
You're welcome, Tim Burton.
I love that movie. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that one.
Us talking about autism made Dylan a fan. That's all it took.
Not a fan, but a fan. I mean, I've been a fan of that movie, and I like that movie. I'll continue to like that movie.
Okay.
That's quite interesting. Also, I believe leading into last week's podcast, or I'm sorry, last episode 6, when we talked about emo kids. Certainly, we got to talk about the ubiquitous Nightmare Before Elm Street.
Nightmare Before Elm Street. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
My apologies.
See, can I tell you what my mind went through when you're like Nightmare on Elm Street? I'm like, oh yeah, Johnny Depp was in that, and they kind of go together. Johnny Depp, yep. Tim Burton.
So I am obviously not
Sweeney Todd. Like, come on.
But Nightmare Before Christmas. The ubiquitousness of that among emo culture and such as that. I mean,
yeah, you got a Hot Topic, get you a Jack Skellington.
I mean, Jack Skellington's
fucking leg
everywhere.
warmers, armbands.
I can't stand that movie. I can't stand it. I don't like it.
Anyway, Tim Burton, a legend of the spectrum for all his wonderful movies and contributions to film. Him, Tim Burton, Helena Bonham Carter, you may as well call them like the Larry Bird, LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant of movies for like a nice artistic take. And again, autism comes in many colors and forms, from Tim Burton to
Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Tell us about Sir Anthony Hopkins. Give us a little bit of info.
So Anthony Hopkins is actually one of my favorite actors. And I was torn on who I wanted to do. There was a couple of people that, as I was looking through the list, I wanted to do. But I saw him, and I saw him because of this is why I chose Anthony Hopkins over the others that I wanted to do. And honestly, this could be a reoccurring thing where we just highlight some people, some legends of the spectrum.
I would absolutely
this is a great
that.
reoccurring segment. I think it's great to highlight it. I love it. So the reason I chose Anthony Hopkins specifically for my first one is because it was revealed that he was autistic in a 2017 interview, and he did not know he was autistic until he was 77 years old.
Wow.
So he was a successful, everything. What has he not done in Hollywood, right? So he's just been all over Hollywood, very successful actor. One of my favorite movies ever is Silence of the Lambs. Who can forget his portrayal as Hannibal Lecter?
Disgusting. Horrid.
I don't know.
It was great, but that's how I feel about the role.
But also just like the wittiness is like what I really was drawn to for like Hannibal Lecter was just the wittiness of the character and just the smarts. And
very cunning, conniving.
Possibly a savant in that regard. Manipulative savant.
Would you say Hannibal Lecter was on the spectrum?
In my limited capacity to self-diagnose, I would say it was a possibility.
And I think it's okay because we're talking about a fictional character here.
Yes, I think that is okay. But yeah, like I think that could be part of it. But like maybe parts of maybe some very small parts of Anthony Hopkins really got to shine through in his portrayal as Hannibal Lecter. Maybe that's how his portrayal of Hannibal Lecter was so perfect to me. No one's ever.
I think a lot of actors do that as well. Leonardo DiCaprio with Gilbert Grape. Shame I didn't mention that earlier.
Oh yeah.
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller, yes.
When he did Tropic Thunder.
Of all the movies you could have said. Of all the movies you could have said. Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's my favorite Ben Stiller movie.
That's not what I was thinking of.
That's fine. So anyway,
Simple Jack.
Anthony Hopkins, one of the things that people were always impressed, and I'm always impressed because his ability to memorize lines. And so as someone who memorizes a lot of stuff,
that is a savant-like move.
I memorize a lot of stuff for like history purposes, dates,
names. You get pretty good at reading a piece before the pod.
Yeah, I did. I'm pretty talented at memorizing things, so I can appreciate it when it's done right. And you can tell when someone, like, I'm not some actor, but I can see someone acting and tell if they just memorize this shit or if this is something they have burned into their memories, because it's an ability that I have.
It really is.
So it's very impressive to me. Obviously, I'm no Anthony Hopkins. I'm not going to fucking claim to be. Anthony Hopkins, if you look at any main monologue scenes, Hannibal Lecter, any of his big movies, Anthony Hopkins can deliver dialogues so effectively and make you think that he's that person because he can remain in character for so long, because he can memorize such long expanses of dialogue. I mean, we're talking chapters. Like the dude can memorize a script so perfectly.
He's classically trained theater as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is an incredibly well-trained actor. Just someone who, I guess you could say that, like, if you're someone who did, while not knowing they were on the spectrum, understood the certain set of skills that they were dealt in life and used them to fit the career that they wanted perfectly.
Yeah, when you play the hand you're dealt, sometimes it's not a bad thing.
It's not.
And
I think I think Anthony Hopkins is a great example of that. That's why I chose him. There's a couple others I could have chose, but you know what? I think you're right. We should do this more often. So I'm going to save the other ones.
I got a few others.
Got plenty of time
up, and I think we'll be announcing those couple in a future time.
I think that'll be great. So I think that is all I had to say about that.
I agree.
If there's anything,
I think there
is one.
I have more I want to say, but another time.
There is one brief thing if I can get it in real quick.
Let's do it.
So look, this is pod 7, right? This is pod 7. We had pod 6 coming out last time. Pod 6, first pod to draw a reaction from the viewer populace. I appreciate that applause. And we'll get to why. Because we got our first reactions from you, the listeners. And first off, I want to say...
That's plural, by the way.
Yes, that is two. Listen, I went to medieval times for my birthday over about a week and a half ago. Over my birthday, spent the weekend up in Maryland, saw some friends. But I spent a good deal of the time dealing with fan mail. And I thought
it's good to see.
You love to see it. You love to see fan mail.
We're getting
so I want to shout it out on the pod. I want to put these two gentlemen. They're both gentlemen. I want to put them out on the pod and say thank you.
I don't even know what this is, and I'm just gonna say thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the first one, I'm just gonna hammer these out really briefly. We're trying to wrap up here. Timothy Shores, he wrote into us on Messenger.
Shout out Tim.
Shout out Tim.
Timmy Shores.
Timmy Shores said, "Fuck off, cocksuckers." So Tim, thank you for your feedback. We appreciate it. It's very obtuse. Very obtuse feedback.
Very, very on brand for us. So
thank you for that. I don't know what it was about emo kids that you hated so much.
Okay.
But that's okay.
All right.
That's okay. Feedback is feedback. We also got another one. Jeff Perry.
Jeffy P. In the house.
He is in the fan mail inbox. He sent us a nice little GIF. It's got a Linus from Charlie Brown. Big bold text.
What's it
Go
say?
fuck yourself.
Oh. Well, Linus, look forward to seeing you in a Charlie Brown Christmas in a couple weeks from now.
So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Jeff.
We're loving the feedback.
Keep it up, guys.
Very obtuse. We appreciate it. If anyone has anything nice they'd like to say about our pod, we'd also love to hear that. Of course, that. We would love to hear that.
Let us know in the comments down below.
Tell us, do us a favor. Do us a favor. Do Christian and me a favor. You can do it for absolutely free.
Please, with sugar on
It's
top.
not going to cost you a single thing. I promise.
It's free, ladies and gentlemen.
If you are listening to this pod, and if you enjoy us, if you enjoy listening to us, do us a favor. Share this pod with one person.
Share it with two.
Maybe with two. Chris is trying to ask for a lot.
Hijack a few people, lock them down in your car, blast it at full volume.
Chris is asking for a lot.
If they don't like it, drive off a bridge and dip out before they can get out.
I'm asking for a little. You got that one dude, or that one lady, or that one other that you can point to and say, you know what, I think of this pod, I think that might be something they want to hear. You know, maybe it's this one on autism. Maybe it's our
an autistic person.
Maybe it's our 9/11 pod. Maybe it's our emo pod. You know, just recommend us to one person. We would appreciate it from the bottom of our heart. We're trying our best. We want to keep putting out really good content. Help us spread the word, guys.
We love it. We hope you guys love it.
We do.
Just as much as we do.
We do. We enjoy making it. We enjoy making it for you. The Jeff, Tim, it's all for you. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of wraps up our autism part 1, because I definitely want to continue this.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some more discussion on this.
I think so.
Anything else that you want to add? Do you want to tease anything?
No, I think we can keep the next one sort of a blank slate. I think it's gonna be mine to pick. But I've got some serious stuff coming up, and I just want to. Right. There's a couple options that I could pick. And I wanna think about it. I don't want to say it off the cuff.
With this newfound information, you kind of want to mold over and maybe a different, in a different light. Yeah, different light. That's understandable. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in once again to the Sounds Obtuse Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Dylan.
Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace and love, guys. I am a pee hole man. I love pee. I drink pee. I fuck my wife. I was born in January. I protect my meat. I eat guns. I own. Oh, God, it's too much.